Good morning. Gonna get some coffee in and let things spool up like they're supposed to. Good morning, everyone. Hi, it's Stacy. This is Loving My Veteran. I'm walking in my shoes. Gonna get the stuff out that has to be out. We're not paid counselors. We're not professionals. If you need help, you need to reach out and get professional help. Please do that. And as usual, all of the information and content is copyrighted to Loving My Veteran and Walking in My Shoes. So, with that said, good morning. Um, I know that we've been talking about our story, and we're going to kind of leave it where it ended. And you're going to hear more about our story as we kind of go through some of the topics that we talk about. But I just need everybody to know that this has been an amazing journey, and I am with an amazing man, and I love him more than anything in this world. Um, but there are times I think that we have to dig into us sometimes. And today's topic is spring cleaning. There are just times in our lives that we get to a point that we just feel, ugh. I mean, I can't describe it any other way. That day that as winters kind of goes away and you're sitting in your house and you look around and you're like, oh, there's dust on the baseboards and I need to vacuum the windowsills kind of day. And spring cleaning, changing out the winter clothes for the spring and summer clothes and just rejuvenate. That time rejuvenates. I can remember my mom talking about spring cleaning, and God, I hated spring cleaning because y'all, we had paneling and we had to get the liquid gold out and wipe the walls down. But when it was done, you just felt fresh and renewed. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about this spring cleaning of our minds and reevaluating and rejuvenating where we are. I think it's really important that we do this. We get caught up in this muck sometimes and caught in this routine sometimes. Good morning, Stephanie. And we get so caught up in this stuff that we just can't let it go. And so we have to reevaluate where we are and rejuvenate where we're going. We don't do that very often. We tend to not do that. So as you've gone through this journey and you're looking at, morning Sarah, at all of your accomplishments and all of the things that you talked about making lists and working stuff off your list. Do you go back and relook at that list and say, I've handled this? And when you've handled that, do you let it go? We don't. We tend to not let it go. We tend to, when things get to a point, we go backwards and we think about the past. And we can't let that baggage and dust and stuff go. And that's critical in being able to move forward. You can't keep toting everything in your past with you, whether it is your personal past, whether it is your past relationships past, or whether it's in, yeah, it does get very overwhelming at times, Michelle, or whether it's in your relationship with your veteran moving forward. In where you've made your accomplishments, you can't keep thinking back and say, well, 6 months ago we did this. And you can't think that one setback takes you to 6 months ago. You have to let it go. You have to spring clean. You have to mentally spring clean because that's what's going to rejuvenate you. So when we sit here and we think about all this stuff that we have on our plates, all of these piles that we have in our lives, and I'm not, Stephanie, I got this. I do it a lot. I'm not, I'm not a huge piler, but I've become lately like, oh, I'll get to this, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And next thing you know, there's all this buildup of junk in our lives. And we have to rejuvenate. We have to clean it up. We have to go through our piles. We have to sort through our stuff. You can't keep bringing the baggage with you. It's exhausting. When you get hung up on something, you can't keep going back and say, but you did this 7 days ago, or you did this 6.5 months ago. Good morning, Elisa. Or you did this then. You have to let it go and rejuvenate. So take today, take this time and go back in and do your list, do your thought process, do whatever it is you do, and say, this is where I was, and this is where I am, and look what I've overcome to get to where I am, and I'm going to clean all the trash out, and I'm going to start fresh. This is my new starting point, is here. Don't ever think. You got to quit thinking in the mindset that your starting place is always here. Your mindset cannot be that your starting place is here. If this is where you started and this is where you are today, and you've been maintaining, yeah, you have a little slide backs here and there, but you've been maintaining this level. You can't keep starting back here because there's all this garbage in this space. If this is where you are, go from there. We have struggles. We all have them. Whether it's that you and your veteran have worked to communicate better, and you're still communicating better, and you still have a ways to go, don't go back to how you communicated at day one. Go back to where you're communicating now, and that day one shit, brush it out, shop vac it out, and make sure you empty your shop vac. Do that in your mind. You have to rejuvenate your mind. You have to be proud of where you are and get rid of the muck from the past. That becomes something we just don't do often. And so we wallow in all the junk from the past. You know, I am like the world's biggest Oak Island fan. The biggest Oak Island fan. And that's probably the only time that they go back through the stuff. And don't pick back through the contents of the dust and the dirt and the shop vac. Amen, sister. But I'm watching them right now, right? And they're uncovering the swamp, and there's all this sediment in the bottom of the swamp. And yes, in this case, they are digging through the sediment. But all of our junk settles down. And then that's where I'm going with this. All of our junk settles down. Don't, exactly what Stephanie said, don't go back through your contents of your shop vac. How many times have you cleaned house and thrown shit in the trash, and somebody comes along and opens the top of the trash and says, why'd you throw this away for? Because I was done with it. Right? I was done with it. But they want to pull it back out of the trash. No. My trash is my trash. It's going out to the curb, and the garbage man going to tote it somewhere where I don't have to think about it anymore. So find your favorite cleaning thing and clean your brain. Clean your mind. Rejuvenate your soul. You know, we talk so many times about you just can't keep giving and giving and giving and giving and giving because your soul gets empty. And then you have nothing left to give. You need to take time to refill your soul, but fill it with the good. Same thing with your mind. We have all this baggage in our head. We have all of this past that we've got. Let it go and fill your head and your soul with positive and with good. And look at your accomplishments, not just yours and your veterans. Where are you at today that you were not in a year ago? I think about my journey in the last year. A year ago right now, y'all, we were just learning what COVID was, and we were all getting locked up in our houses, and everybody was freaking out, and everybody was panicking, and everybody's like, oh, my life as I know it is over, and I can't go to the grocery store, and the kids are home from school, and I can't go to the movie theater, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. And I remember that panic and that fear. How are we gonna get there? There were no eggs, and there was no canned foods, and there was no meat at times. But we've all survived it. We're sitting here. We've all survived it. We're sitting here, right? We managed to do that. And as bad as the pandemic came across, whether you believe it or not, I'm not even going there, but as bad as the lockdown concept came across, it did some things for people as families that weren't happening. Children and their parents had to have dinner in the same house. People cooked. They shared time. They valued time with others. They learned to value time with themselves. And we all learned to survive without going to a restaurant and sitting on our phone texting the people who were 4 tables over from us. We learned how to do that. So we've had some major accomplishments in the past year as a society. We've had some major personal accomplishments. I can't imagine how excited Stephanie was when her kids could go back and play ball as a team. There was a lot of discussion, and she's from Georgia, so I mean we kind of get this. There was a lot of discussion when football season came out and basketball season and baseball about these kids practicing. For a long time, they did virtual practicing. Can you just see that? Can you see a football team doing virtual practicing online? That had to have been spectacular, right? Okay. And then they let them practice in little groups, and now they let them play. But we had to relearn things that we didn't think we were going to get to relearn, but we all survived it. We survived it. And we should be empowered because we did survive that. But you can't go back to, oh my God, this is how I felt the first couple weeks in March when this time in March a year ago, right now, when they shut the world down, and I felt like my world was over because we are a year into it and we're different than we were then. And that's what I'm saying about letting go of the baggage and the muck. We can't keep going back to, and I remember when they put the cattle gates up in front of the Walmart, right? And you were herding in like cattle. I remember the panic at that point. But the cattle gate's gone now, okay? And that is in the past. And I have to leave it there. I can't freak out every time I go to town because I remember what I felt like in the cattle gate mode. And that's where I'm at when I'm telling you, you have to clean your mind. You have to rejuvenate. You have to think about the things that are important in your life and go forward and look at your accomplishments. Are we where we want to be at every level in our life? No, we may not be. But we are damn sure better off than we were before. And as you learn that you personally have grown, and you personally may have set some boundaries for yourself, and you personally may have done some things for you that are important to you, and you're standing firm in them even though they're causing static, you know what? Let all the rest of the crap go. That's an accomplishment that you should be proud of, and all the rest of the garbage needs to go away. All the rest of that garbage needs to get swept out. Because if you go back and you think about, well, I didn't argue with him as much when I didn't have these boundaries. So let me get rid of the boundaries. And I don't have to do that anymore. But where are you going to be? You're wallowing in the trash. You're picking through your shop vac. You're pulling shit out of your trash can that needs to go to the dump. That's what you're doing. That's where you are, girl. I needed it today too. I was telling Michelle, I feel like, ugh. We've made so many accomplishments, and I get so overwhelmed at times that I'm like, is this even right? Are we going down that right path? And then I look at where I was, like Carl and I were talking last night when we were sharing, I'd done our story, and he looked at me and he said, "Can you leave that in the past?" And I'm like, "But baby, the past is where we are today." And he said, "But can you leave that in the past?" I'm like, "Okay, this is loving my veteran, and I love you, and we're gonna leave it right there." He said, "Because when you dwell in that past, that's where we go back to." And it's weird because y'all, I saw me doing it. Like I talked about our beginning phases, and then I've had these really horrible knee-jerk reactions and this vomiting sputum thing coming out again, like the volcanic thing. And I realized when we talked last night, like adults, right, that it was because I drug up the past and I was wallowing in that moment, thinking, oh, people are going to see we've been this journey. And he said, but when you dwell on it, it becomes garbage. And he was right. It became garbage. So I had to let it go. We have to let go of the stuff. We have to rejuvenate. Set those new goals. Get excited about where you're going. Get excited about where you've been, but don't go back into where you've been. Get excited about what you've personally grown. Get yourself your dustpan, your shop vac, your trash bags, and take it to the trash, and don't let anybody else, including you, pick through your garbage. Leave it there. Yeah, been dwelling in the past all week, and it's wreaking havoc on me, and created a fight today of me spewing venom. I did it again. I was like that yesterday, and I couldn't understand why. And when we're sitting on the couch last night, girl said, "Because you're bringing up the past." And I was like, "Oh shit, okay." He is so much more aware than I am of life. I mean, and I'm thinking, oh, he isn't, and no, he is so much more aware of I am than life. And he analyzes stuff like that, and so he knows, and he's like, "Mm-hmm, I told you," and I'm like. And I hate the "I told you so," right? I hate the "I told you so." And all he ever says to me is, "Do I ever stop you from doing anything you want to do?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "But I'm always there to pick up the pieces." And I'm like, shit. So my new goal for the next 6 months is for him not to have to pick up my pieces. That is my new goal for the next 6 months, is for him not to have to pick up my pieces all the time, because I do this. And it's so funny because we don't think that we learned from them, and I think that's part of what we get in our mindset, that, oh, our veterans have PTSD, oh, our veterans struggle, oh, our veterans do this, oh, our veterans do that. But when you really sit down and look, sometimes you learn a whole lot more from them than you ever thought you could do it. You learn so much more from them than you ever thought, because I think it's in the warfighter mindset that they're trained to look 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps down the road. I mean, Carl looks at things like 6 years down the road or 10 years down the road, and I'm like, can you live in today for a minute, please? Because it really annoys me that we're living 10 years down the road. I want to live in today. And he says, but I always think about what we do today and how it affects us 10 years down the road. And I'm like, don't know if I like that. But the bad part is, y'all, it's so different. He's usually right. Because that's in the difference in our mindsets. I am a let's do it today type person. And the minute you tell me it can't be done, girlfriend takes it as a personal challenge. When you tell me we can't do this, I'm like, bet. And I take it as a personal challenge. I don't make all these steps for where we're going 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road or 2 years down the road. I worry about what I'm doing today. That's me. I don't see the effects of that 5 year or 10 year down the road thing. And that's why we balance each other so well. And I'm like, hmm. And I'm not really good, y'all. It's hard pressed sometimes to give them credit for being right. It's hard pressed. Because we're the one who thinks, oh, they're the ones who got the PTSD. They're the ones who are defective. They're the ones who got this. I'm not. I'm perfect, and I'm having to live with this. And the reality is, we're not. Get the mirror out and look. It's sad, but that's the reality. The reality is that we're not perfect, and the reality is we don't look at all the steps down the road. And the reality is that we just live life. And the reality is we have a lot of trash sometimes we have to take out. Just do it. And rejuvenate who you are. And make your list. And go forward and think about where you've come from and think about what you've done and think about all the positive things that are in your life. Yes, we are also very affected by this. Very affected by this. And what we're going to find out as we go into tomorrow and the next days is how the dynamics of the relationship affect both sides. We are very affected by their PTSD or their TBI. And TBI is so different than PTSD. And I really want to put that out there. A TBI is significantly different than PTSD. People want to mix them all together. Even when you look at the VA stuff, it'll say PTSD/TBI. And why they may have PTSD, if you've got a traumatic brain injury first, you think we've got it tough where just the PTSD side is there, that TBI just totally makes it worse because their short circuiting is totally different. And yes, it affects us more than we ever know. It affects us more than we think. We don't realize that all of living with it, how it affects us until we become exhausted. When we become exhausted, that's why I'm telling you to do your spring cleaning. When we become exhausted and mentally drained, it's horrible because it's affected us in such a way we're like, oh, he's got it. It's not my problem. It is our problem. I'm so sick of tired of people saying over and over and over again, it's his PTSD, he's got to deal with it. Or it's their PTSD, they got to deal with it. No, it's not. They may have the illness, but we all suffer the disease. And I really do want to talk about, and if you girls are good, the TBI PTSD together, let's really delve into that on Monday. I think that there's some key factors to the TBI PTSD combination that we don't always know. And I'm going to tell you this too, for a lot of you whose veterans have been diagnosed with PTSD only, a lot of those veterans have TBIs as well. And it is a hard fight to get the VA sometimes to acknowledge it. But when you start seeing how they go forward, you're going to see that those two correlate in a way, and how they work. So it is something we have to just really kind of look into. But yeah, it does affect us, and it does become our fight, and it does affect us, and it does become our battle, and it all does affect us in some way. But we still have to be human, and we still have to draw our boundaries, and we still have to clean out the muck, and we still have to do the spring cleaning. It's just something we have to do. Because if we don't, we die in it, and we dwell in it. You know, people, I'm not judging how you keep your house, okay? But people can't live in pure nastiness for any length of time. I learned that as a paramedic. Right? I learned that as a paramedic. I would go into people's houses. Y'all, their little kitty cats had done gone to the potty on the floor, and you had to maneuver through the kitty cat stuff to get to your patient. Or you'd go in and there'd be like little puppy pads up in the chair, and you're gonna sit down and you're gonna talk to grandma about it, okay? About how she feeling, and the kids have got to sling the puppy pads out because you can't sit your cheeks down in the thing. I didn't realize how nasty people could be at times, but that's what I'm talking about, cleaning your head. Okay. um, Cleaning your house. You got to clean your head like that. You got to get rid of all the kitty cat poop and the little puppy pads, and the dishes that all have to be done. Eventually, you have to do your dishes. Right? You don't have to do them. It ain't got to be washed every second of the day. We all keep house different, but you got to clean at some point, or you're gonna live where the kitty cat poop is all over the floor, and we can't do that. And that's what we're going to do. We need to clean our head. We need to do our spring cleaning. So today I really need y'all to rejuvenate. It is critically important. Um, we're going to get rid of the poo-poo. We're going to dwell then to getting rid of the poo-poo. I really will do TBI and PTSD starting on Monday because I need a little more time. I want to really talk to Erin, my colleague, and see if maybe Erin will come on with us and kind of talk about it. Her Richard has the two, and learning the difference, the short-term memory loss, the things that it is a brain injury and that they just don't do, and then you add the PTSD, and the sad part is a lot of times if you have a TBI, you don't realize that you're having a PTSD moment because it all just cycles weird together and it kind of short circuits. So it is really important, I think, that we learn that and some of the other challenges and the symptoms and the side effects of a TBI, because those TBIs happen in a different way. So I know I'm a little off track here, but ladies, Monday we will start on TBI and PTSD combined. I just think it'll be something we really need to look at. So all I'm asking you today, ladies, let's spring clean. Let's rejuvenate. Let's realize. See, don't be cleaning the cat litter. I'm glad you're cleaning the litter boxes. That's so funny. Let's rejuvenate. Let's rejuvenate our mind. Erica, it is hard to find a counselor who understands one or the other, let alone both. And that tomorrow, I'm gonna talk. So I know our weeks have kind of gotten screwed up, but leading into the TBI PTSD combined, tomorrow I think we're gonna really talk about the effectiveness of finding treatment. How hard it is. What are the challenges in finding treatment? What are the challenges in going to a marriage counselor? What are the challenges in finding a counselor for you? Because there are not people who know it as well as we do. We live it. That community awareness. So we're going to really talk about those tomorrow and Friday, and a few key other little things. But today, ladies, let's spring clean. I'm so proud of where you've come from. I'm so proud of all the things. I don't realize, I think that it's cool because I watch us talk and I read the messages, and I go back in and I listen to some of these ones I did in September, and I'm like, oh, you've learned a lot since September. But I look at y'all's comments and I see how much you've evolved as well. So as a community, we're all kind of evolving and getting better and stronger. And I'm so proud of that because we've all done it. So it's time that we need to just celebrate our victories and where we've come. Let's take the trash out today. Shop vac it, take it out, take it to the backyard and burn it, take it to the dump. Don't let anybody in your trash can and nobody in your shop vac, including you, and rejuvenate and look at where you've been and look at where you are and make that your victory. Celebrate that in you today. it is about what you've accomplished. Stephanie, look at what you've done. You're running your own business. You're working from home. You take your kids to ball practice. You manage to come on here every Wednesday night and motivate us. You're working out. You are incredibly good. And you've come a long way with your veteran and where you guys have been. Yeah, you had bad days, but you've come a long way. That is your victory. Let the past trash go. Y'all know how much you inspire me to go forward on days I just don't feel like it anymore. Because we're a community and that's what we do. So today, our community needs to clean house and take our trash out. We need to spring clean. We need to rejuvenate. I literally think I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to get off of here and I'm going to pick up this phone. Girl, we all screw back. We all fall back. It is okay to fall backwards. You just can't wallow in it. That's why when you take the trash out, you don't have a place to wallow. You don't have a place to wallow. You don't have to have a place to wallow. Think about it. You're puppy training the new puppy, and he has an accident, and you clean it up. And you might go 6 weeks without another one, and then he has one, and you clean it up. You don't leave the whole time you're potty training your puppy. You don't leave all the little puppy pads on the floor and wallow in them. We go backwards. Erica, it's a tough thing. But if you live in the fear that he really means it, you're not letting go of the fact that he's not and moving forward. If you want that, you got to leave that trash out. You don't gotta feed the idea, but when you get rid of the trash, you're gonna move forward and you're not gonna wallow in it. You're not gonna wallow in it. I'm telling you, y'all have no idea. I went backwards. It must have been backwards day for everybody. I literally told Michelle it was douche canoe day. I'm not kidding y'all. Everybody went backwards. It was like backwards day or something. You know, maybe it was because we sprang the clocks forward an hour and we went like backwards 6 months. I don't know what the heck happened, but y'all, we are awesome, and we're all awesome, and we're all going forward, and y'all, really, the time change makes a huge difference. I'm just here to tell you, the time change does make a huge difference on your clock from a medical thing. We are those resilient warriors. We got this. We're doing it. We're moving forward. This is where we're going as a community. Yo, we have something here that so few people have. There are 300 people in this group. Think about the people who, when I'm at my very worst, and I can't tell you, I've messaged Stephanie or called her or messaged half the people on this list and called them, or Michelle, who is my true soul sister in life that God put us together. But think about the people who don't have this. On days that we feel down, who is there to lift them up? I feel for them. And I know it's tough for you to fight for your warriors sometimes. And I know it's hard for you to fight for your veterans sometimes. But think about the veterans that don't have y'all in their lives. Yeah, it's tough for us at times. But think about the veterans who don't have y'all in their lives. What are they doing? What is their life like? So you absolutely make a difference every day. It's what you do. And I'm so proud of y'all, and I love y'all more than you will ever know. And I really think I need to go book that massage because I think that sounds like a wonderful idea. Clean out your trash today. I don't want. I'm not stacking mine behind me, so you won't see it tomorrow. I'm literally taking it to the curb. Actually, I might have to go put it in the back of the truck and drive it down the road, because if not, Carl will be digging through my trash and saying, "Oh, well, look, you wrote these notes." He did. He did it with a notebook I read. He's like, "You wrote this like a year ago." I'm like, "Yeah, a year ago. Move on." It's something I read through, and I don't need to bring that part back up in my life. And he's like, "But you might want to look back on it later." Oh no, I don't. Trash. That's why it was there. Can you put it there? And so the other day, I got it and I used it to burn the leaf pile. So I left my trash alone. And we all have to do that. Refresh, rejuvenate, clean your soul, empty your kitty cat box, empty your litter box, go forward. Y'all are amazing. You are the warriors. You're the people who make this happen every single day. You're what's best for your veteran. You're what's best for you. Look at where we've all come from. I'm going to get off of here. I've ran my mouth way too much. I love y'all as a community. I love you. Jennifer, you can message me and I will help you through that. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I'll answer part of it real quick. Because they love you and they feel safe with you, and those are the parts that we see. They're not comfortable enough to share that risk with the rest of the world, and they let their guard down, and that's why we see what we see. Doesn't make it easy, but that's why. All right, y'all. Have a blessed day. Go get your spring cleaning, get your shot vacs, get your trash bags, pass them out, do what we got to do. Let's clean up, let's rejuvenate, and let's get refocused tomorrow. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. Have a blessed day. Bye.